Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Super2Bit Podcast. The best part of your week is finally here. Tonight's topic is a hot one, no pun intended, ladies and gents, and that is none other than the RTX 3000 series GPUs. Everyone's talking about them, but the question is, should you be buying one? Now, I don't know much about tech. That's why I got my wingman, the Marksman, to break this down for us. Neil, what's happening, buddy?
Oh, Dave, it's me again. How you doing?
I know. It's good to have you back, dude. I can't believe we managed to book you again. We're just getting lucky here.
How's your week going?
It's been long. Dave needs another holiday. And he just came back from holiday, but that's neither here nor there. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, it's been a tough, long week. This
Everyone just wants this year to end, dude.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
I can definitely say this year needs to take a little break now. I think this year's been too much.
It does indeed. Now, Neil, the 3000 series GPUs, I sure as hell want one. Can I afford one? No.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Out the gate? How many body parts do I have to sell, and where can I sell them to purchase one?
Well, I know you pretty well, and I know how much your body parts are worth. I think the only thing the only thing that's maybe worth selling is the main. And
yeah, okay.
I'll give you $50.
I'll take it. $50 closer to my goal.
Yeah, so that's about it. So you need a lot more. I don't even know what they're retailing for in South Africa. But the main problem is, let's jump over to the main screen quickly. We've got some Linus on screen here.
Welcome, Odin, my boy Blue.
So the main problem at the moment is you basically cannot buy one of these cards. The biggest, there was a couple of issues. So there's a couple of things that basically went wrong. I think everyone was super hyped when these cards were announced. They said they had basically twice the performance of a 2080. Everyone was like, oh, well, that's obviously lying. And then they came out and they basically did have twice the performance of the 2080. The only problem is you cannot buy these cards. The rumor has it that they only made about 10,000 cards for the launch period, which is like now, for the entire world, where the Xbox 360 at launch sold 500,000 cards in its 500,000 devices in its first month, and the Wii sold 1 million devices in its first month. So 10,000, that's not enough, obviously. You need a lot more than that. So, that's where people are saying, what were they thinking? Why did they only make 10,000? What's the problem?
Why did they make 10,000?
Well, they haven't come out and really said it. They said, "Oops, sorry, we do apologize. We didn't mean to only make 10,000." And then people are like, oh, "Okay, then why did you?" And they're like, "Well, COVID's tough and times are tough," and it's basically just like a COVID excuse. But I think what happened is they're using a brand new process. They're using Samsung to actually make the chips themselves, which they've never used before. So the theory is that Samsung is obviously having issues creating enough chips, which is called yield. They're not getting enough yield out of the chips that they're creating to make usable RTX 3080s and 3090s and 3070s. So much so that the 3070, which is like the mainstream card, is basically the upgrade of what your one is, and is supposed to be faster than a 2080 Ti.
Yeah. When I got my eye on.
Yeah, that one is that one they've now delayed. It was supposed to come out, I think, beginning of basically this week. It was supposed to come out. Now it's been delayed to the end of this month, so they can actually make enough to satisfy demand. But even then, why did they plan these cards years in advance? It's not like they all of a sudden decide, oh, we're going to launch this. We can only have 10,000. They've obviously got some fairly substantial issues with the manufacturing process and the supply line process, with or without COVID issues impacting them, whatever it may be. And that's also why you're seeing now, like Raul's saying, some of them are retailing for $50,000 now because you can't get your hands on them. So I would say if you want to buy one, don't buy one right now. Hold on to your 2080 Ti's and your 2080s and your 2070s. There's no games that really push these things at anything. If you don't have a 4K monitor, you won't even really get most of the usage out of these cards at the moment. Or if you love RTX Minecraft or RTX Quake 2 or whatever it may be. So not a good launch, and it's kind of put a real big damper on it because, sorry, dying here, too much talking. Because it's a really good piece of technology. Well,
I was about to say, yeah.
yeah.
The fact that they came out with such crazy performance, I thought it was BS when they said it's going to be strong. Like how it's like 4 times faster than a 2080 Ti. What's the
No,
math
so
there?
3080 is about 50% faster than a 2080 Ti.
But,
And then
but what was the jump? What was the jump from a 1080 Ti to a 2080 Ti percentage wise?
not much. Like a 10,
Like 20.
1080 Ti was basically as fast as a 2080 in most normal games. Only in obviously in ray traced games, a 2080 was much faster. That was the big problem with the 20 series, is that it didn't really give you a massive performance increase over a 1080 Ti. There was almost nothing in it. Like my 1080 Ti that I've got on my PC still runs every game just fine at 1080p. But with the 3080, then they were like, okay, we figured out what RTX does and how it works. Now let's get that huge power boost or performance boost, which is what they did. So now you can pick up a 3080 and it's a lot faster than a 2080 Ti and basically double the performance in some games as a 2080, which is, we haven't had that kind of doubling of performance since I think the 9 series.
Since the Voodoo
When
3D
970
effect.
came out, that was like double the performance of the 770. I don't think they ever made an 8 series of it. And like that was like amazing. That was like, wow, that was 5 generations or 4 generations ago. So it's been a while.
Do you think the price is going to come down once they start to produce more? Or is this price tag?
I think so. I think what's also crazy is that why everyone got so excited is that they announced the 3080 at, I think, $599, which was way cheaper than what the 2080 came out. I think the 2080 came out at $799, so it was 25% less at the same point. It was basically the same price as a 2070 when it launched, and for basically double the performance. It was a no-brainer. But I don't think anyone on the planet got it for $599 or anywhere close to that because
of the bots.
Because of the bots, because of people buying them, and especially in South Africa, unfortunately, we are quite low on the priority list of getting shipments to South Africa. So even the ones that we got here were probably sold out. They knew they only had like 5, so they priced them accordingly, which is what we've seen on all the retailers. And then if you were lucky enough to get it, you're stupid to keep it. You should just resell it for double the price.
Of course, you'd probably sell it day one.
Oh, easy. And then
game.
that guy will sell it again.
Yeah.
So
and double
it's
his
like
money.
insane.
But all that glitters, Neil, is not gold. Because these cards are having a couple of snafudos. One in particular, the heating issue that I heard about.
So the heating issue seems to be depending on which kind of card and what kind of cooler you've got. So it seems that's also quite a common thing that happens when cards are released because the drivers aren't mature. And apparently what NVIDIA did to keep this thing so secret, they didn't send out partner boards to the partners very early. They gave them like 2 months to try and come up with heating solutions, with driver optimizations, with all of that stuff for their cards, and just said, here you go, cheers, good luck. And we've seen a couple of heating issues. But the biggest issue that they had was around the capacitors at the back, where guys were getting a lot of crash to desktops, a lot of blue screens of death while playing with their brand new card. If they manage to actually get the thing, then they finally install it, and then it starts falling apart, or like then it doesn't game properly. And that turned out to be also a driver optimization issue. So luckily, those things seem to be fixed, but it's just more bad news on top of more bad news on top of more bad news.
Was that the main problem? Were there any other issues that have been creeping up besides that?
I think those are the main ones. But now the problem is that there is no supply. No one knows when supply is going to be coming out again. And it's not a good look. You want millions of people buying your product. Like that's kind of what you want. And I think
that's the point. Yeah,
they've shot themselves in the foot now with this launch because they don't know what's going to happen, or like all that goodwill and all that excitement and all that, like guys were like, I'm going to sell my arm, I'm going to sell my leg, I'm going to sell my hair to buy these things. And now you're going to be like, oh well, let me wait and see what happens. And the other big problem and the big nemesis on the horizon, obviously, is AMD's launch, which is coming up at the end of the month as well. Surprisingly, the day before the 3070 releases. So if AMD comes out, well, basically what they're going to do, whatever AMD comes out with, NVIDIA is going to release the 3070 at a price below it. That's the whole purpose of it.
That's why they're waiting. I can tell you now. So
And-
isn't it a great? Yeah.
No, carry on.
Isn't it a great time then to buy one of the 20 series cards the guys are flogging for a dime because they're like, oh, I got to get on the 3000 train.
Yeah.
Isn't that what a wise man would do?
Maybe, but like, do you want to, like, this is basically that crypto rush all over again. It's like, oh, we got to get these cards and resell them at ridiculous prices. And then in 2 months' time, like, the supply will eventually come. But the problem is now we're ramping up towards Christmas. That's always when stocks are low anyway. So you're going to struggle until early next year to get one of these cards, I think. And if AMD comes out with a competitive product with supply, they're going to be like, cool. And that's exactly what happened during the crypto rush, is that AMD didn't have the best cards, but they had supply. So they were making sweet coin out of that.
Stacks. Odin's saying that thing is a brick. How big is the card? And what's the sort of like power usage on this bad boy?
So, yeah, I think a 3080, the normal one, is still a 2-slot solution, but the 3090 takes up 3 slots in the back of your PC. So even like the separation between your 2 PCI Express slots is usually sometimes not enough to fit both cards in. And the power draw it's about 250 to 300 watts under load if they get overclocked, which is quite high and quite hectic, considering most guys have a 500 to 600 watt power supply.
So what would you need, like a 750 minimum?
I would say like a 750 to 800 to be, like, for a 3080, I mean, for a 3090, definitely an 800. But if you're spending $1,500 on a card, you should have a 1,000 watt power supply.
Private PW saying, I think I'll have to wait for the RTX 4000 series. How long is it going to be? It's going to be what, like every 2 years cycle?
Every 2 years about. So then the 4000 will come out in 2 years. But you'll
got
see,
some time to wait.
you're gonna get the 3080, you're gonna get the 3080 Super, you're gonna get the 3090, the 3090 Ti, you're gonna get the Titan eventually. And that's the other thing. They released the 3090 and they haven't released a Titan. But everyone's saying the 3090 is priced like a Titan, but it doesn't actually have all of the performance and capabilities that even the previous generation Titan had. So while it's much faster in games, for some of the hardcore AI and procedural modeling and that kind of stuff that these cards are used for, or the Titans are used for, is actually kind of like not worth it, because if you're spending that much money, unless you have an 8K monitor, you don't need it for gaming performance. You need it for that cool scientific modeling and simulating and all of that kind of stuff.
What's that new tech? Is it called? I keep forgetting the name. Like Andrea or some that new technology that's built into it. What's it called? It's with an A.
Ansel.
Ansel. What does that even mean, Neil?
Ansel is something else. Like, I don't know.
What is that?
Ansel is, I think it's more of their optimizations for their more scientific side of stuff. But I'm sure someone in the chat will probably be able to correct me. The main new technology that they've improved so much is that, so they had those RT cores, which did the ray tracing and all of that stuff. And then the 2070 and the 2080 and the 2090, or they never made a 2090, 2080 Ti, they had X amounts of those RT cores, and they've basically doubled those cores and made them faster in this one. But the main thing is that DLSS, like AI anti-aliasing, which is what then makes it that you can run ray traced games at a much lower resolution, and then it use AI to upscale them to like a 4K resolution, and then keep the frame rate and the performance. That's the big feature.
Hold on, because I've seen this term DLSS thrown around on forums like NeoGAF.
Yeah.
So is that what it is? Because they're like, oh, DLSS is a game changer.
It is. So it's basically like, have you watched online? You get those, like, we've taken like an old Doom texture and run it through an AI thing to make it look super HD. And so that's basically what it does. And then that is doing that 60 frames, 60 times per second on a 1080p image, and then super sampling it up to 4K or 8K. And it looks like almost, it never looks as good as a pure 4K image, but it looks 95% there that your brain is like, it looks so good and it runs so good. I don't mind the slight reduction in quality.
Is it basically a fake upscaled 4K? If I'm understanding this correctly,
pretty much, yeah. But it's not fake
without the demands of native 4K.
It's using AI to put in the missing bits and pieces and make it look a lot better. So normal anti-aliasing basically takes the surrounding pixels and then blurs them slightly to make it look smoother, which always then loses definition. Where this is actually saying, what would the pixel between these two things actually be? And then tries to figure out what it looks like. And it works really, really well because apparently human eyes are dumb and easy to solve for. So
I was about to say, that's an impressive technology.
It is super impressive. Because
it is a game changer.
Yeah, and you get about 60% more performance at whatever resolution you're running at. So your 4K with ray tracing is 60% faster than it would be without it. And most people would not be able to tell the difference.
That's impressive. Yeah. So they got some clout behind them. That's a reason to upgrade to the card. No. The question I have,
What's your question?
The question I have is between the 3070, 3080, 3090. Now the price range, like the 3090, like, let's be realistic. There's a handful of people. I don't even know people that could afford that card. So it's between the 37 and 3080. 3080 is still on the super expensive side. Shouldn't you just go for the 3070 and still get your Hansel? I want my sweet Hansel in my DLSS. Yeah.
Well, like that is their volume selling card. So for us normal dudes, it's a perfect card. Like you've got the 2070 Super or the normal 2070. I think you've got the 2070.
I think it's the 2070. Yeah, it's still decent.
It's a great card. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Can you run 60 FPS 4K? No. Do you have a 4K monitor? Also no. So you don't need any more of
hopefully getting one before the year's out.
But if you are, maybe Dangerous Dave, sponsored by X, Y, and Z, you should have the best things. But it's almost like flying business class. No one really flies business class. Only people who get paid for it by someone else fly business class. And same thing with these chips. These chips are halo products. They are things that make the company stand out against everyone else. They know they're not going to sell millions and trillions of them. They're going to sell a couple, and they're going to get like the bragging rights.
Odin's saying, buy your monitor first. Trust me, buddy. That's the next thing I'm going to spend money on. But then the decision, Neil, is if I get a 4K monitor, because like I'm living in the dark ages here, buddy. People are already buying 8K, and here I am like, I don't know, guys. Maybe I should buy a 4K monitor. It's 4,000 rand. But actually, the weird thing is 4K monitors, and explain this to me, maybe are so expensive. You can get a 27-inch Samsung 4K monitor for like 11 grand. I can buy a 55-inch 4K QLED TV for like 12 grand. So where's the logic here, buddy?
So okay, we're gonna move off this topic into another topic. I can see. No, it's cool. It's cool. So monitors are always generally way more expensive because they are much better display devices, and that's just from a contrast ratio, from a color ratio, and especially like if you're buying a 4K computer monitor, you want that color reproduction to be really good. You want it to make sure that your reds are red, your blues are blues, your greens are greens. That's why they all come with this very like a high rating of like Adobe RGB spectrum and that kind of thing. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that computer monitors don't really process an image, or they shouldn't process an image, where like a QLED TV takes whatever image it is and just throws it on the screen, resizes it willy-nilly, does whatever it needs to do to get it on the screen. That's why you have like lots of display lag, input lag. And if you try and use a mouse or long periods of time for that, they're getting better, obviously, but a monitor will always be a much higher piece or much better piece of technology. Are they overpriced though? Absolutely. Like there's no reason why, and even 144 hertz monitors, they're just too expensive for the technology. Like the technology is cheap now. It's been around for a long time.
Well, there we go. So I don't know what to do because I don't have the space for a 55-inch 4K TV on my desk. Even the 48s, I'm considering, but there's no space for that, so I've got to go monitor. But like you say, if you want a 4K 144 hertz monitor, dude, you're looking at like entry level, bro. 15 grand.
Yeah.
Entry level.
And then you're like, well, I could buy a 65-inch TV for that much.
You could get a 75-inch QLED for that. Almost,
and it won't have HDR for 15 grand. That's like another 3 grand to buy.
Dude, I don't know
if you want a G-Sync, that's going to be another 2 grand on top of that.
I'm so blind. I don't even know if I should bother with 4K. Like,
that's why, dude. We just get you we can get you a 640, 480 CRT.
Yeah, there we are, you. There. Use tapping. Tap like they did in the trenches of World War One. I'll detect you on Morse code. Raul saying, I read once upon a time that up to 55-inch screen size, the average human eye has a hard time distinguishing between 1080, 2K, and 4K. Whether that is true or not, dude, if it's my eyes, bro, then yes, that's 100% true.
But that's all about how close the monitor is to your face. Like a computer monitor obviously is much closer. Like I'm sitting probably 2 feet away from this monitor that I'm looking at here. Dave, I think you're a little bit closer, or you're about 3 feet, but your monitor's about twice the size. Like you need that. But there's also that whole theory where like if you watch like League of Legends or Counter-Strike or Call of Duty, all of those guys play on 24-inch 144 hertz monitors. Like they don't need a bigger monitor, they don't need a faster monitor.
Because you're so close to the screen.
Yeah, that's like the perfect human eye to mouse ratio. Yeah. So anything bigger is actually, and your brain gets confused with like giant screens in front of you. But if you're doing a lot of video editing or photo editing or architecture designs or graphic design of any type, a bigger monitor, but then you don't need the super high refresh rates. And even me, like I run all 60 hertz because I capture everything at 60 hertz. So it doesn't really help running it any higher.
That's it. Robert Cheat saying I bought a Samsung 24 144 hertz for 4K.
That's a lot of money for a monitor, bro.
But also, it's not 4K. And I'm obviously with the PS5 about to launch, with these new GPUs about to launch, I'm for the first time starting to consider 4K. By the way, guys, if you haven't given us a share on Facebook, how you disgust me, you heathens, please give us a share. Do it right now before we even carry on. Neil, should we just be silent until we see at least 5 shares come through?
Dave's had a rough day.
It's been a long day. But the bottom line is, let's get back on topic. Back to the 3000 series. I'll figure the 4K monitor story out. Neil.
Yeah.
The $1 million question, buddy. Are you gonna pot and kettle to buy one?
No.
Why?
No, unless someone gives me one, I'm not gonna buy one. Like no, my 1080s. I've got a 1080 Ti, which is like that is an amazing card. It really is super overpowered. It does everything it needs to do. And again, like I'm running 1080p-ish on all of my setups. I'm not upgrading to 4K anytime soon. Like I should much rather buy a CPU than a GPU at the moment. Because even if I got it at 3080, then my CPU is going to be like, oh, I'm tired. I can't carry all of this power.
Dude. But this is what I'm saying. This is why the best thing to do now is get a 2080 Ti. That's a great card. 2080 Ti. That's a great card.
Yeah, it is a great card. So if you can pick one up cheap.
Card.
Yeah.
Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry is like, I got to be on the 3000 train. And they're dumping their 2080s for, dude, like way less than they should be. And you can get a bargain on one. A 2080 Ti, geez, dude, that'll take you another 2 years. And yes, you can 4K game on a 2080 Ti. Now.
Easy. Like a 2080 Ti is not a bad card at any stretch of the imagination.
And then in a year's time, the 3000 series will come down in price. You can get your Hansel. You can get your DLSS. You can get all your bibblies and bobblies. But I would say take this opportunity now while guys are dumping. You must see eBay, bro. You must see what guys are dumping their 20 series cards for. Like especially when they made the announcement. Like absolute bargains.
Unfortunately, though, in South Africa where we reside, there's probably not. I would say I'd be surprised if there's more than 200 2080 Ti's in the wild in South Africa.
That's still decent. You just gotta find one.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't think those guys will be selling too soon.
Thank you for the share, Philip. Odin said, remember, entry-level monitors will dive 4K at 60 and do 144 only at 1080. That's also true.
Yeah.
Dude, you can 4K on a 1080, Odin.
You can,
can?
totally can, but I don't have a 4K monitor, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
well,
I
that's
don't know why I always have to look at my monitor every time I say it.
yeah.
Like
I
I'm
love
waiting
it.
for it to
Like,
turn into a 4K monitor.
maybe it'll change if I
Yeah.
stare at it long enough. You know.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of thinking
Oh,
around
you can pick up, as Odin's saying, you can pick up a 1080 Ti for $7,000. That's a better card than a 2060. It's probably a better card than a
capable card.
2070, unless you really want ray tracing stuff.
Which you kind of do. Come on, come on. Yeah.
But
Come
if
on.
you just
pick
if you're
up
just
a 2070.
playing, yeah, you can, but they're expensive. They're more than 7K.
What's a 20s? You can pick up a used 2070 for under 10K.
Go to Carbonite and go and have a look at
And that card will send
see
you
what's selling
gaming
on Carbonite.
Ultra. I've been so happy with my 2070. I'm playing all the latest games on Ultra. I've had no issues whatsoever. I'm good for at least another year and a smidge.
Yeah,
and then
look,
I can
once the
break over a big
PlayStation
game.
5 games start coming out, then you're going to start seeing that big uplift in graphics. Because most games, like Call of Duty has to run on a base Xbox One, which is a rubbish console these days. Like any graphics card you can buy on the market is faster than that thing. So any AAA game coming out now still has to basically run on that. And obviously there's optimizations for consoles, but if you got a 1060, what's 1660 or whatever the weird naming convention is, or even an RTX 580, you're fine. Like you can play most games at 1080. You can play your Call of Duties. You can play your Valorants. You can play everything you need to play. Yeah. The only thing is, if you want to play Metro Exodus with RTX on at 4K, obviously you need something a bit better. If you want to play Crisis Remastered, you need to update things.
Welcome to my boy Stefan Roots. Clearly Neil's having a break-in in the background. Is someone testing out the chainsaw there, Neil? Yeah, you get out of here, buddy. Sorry, Neil's I don't know what. He had to close his door. Thomas Bain saying the Dell 27-inch 144 Hz G-Sync screen was about 9.5. But is a 4K. The next purchase I make for a monitor has to have 4K because I'm hopefully going to get a PlayStation 5 one day, and obviously you want 4K. I don't really give a hoot and toot about gaming 4K on my PC because I'm so blind. But I want to get 4K on my PS5 because it's designed to game on 4K.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, you should rather than buy a big TV and enjoy that because that's like that's where
the PlayStation.
where the 4K will shine.
But I can't because I need to stream off the PlayStation.
Yeah. But that's fine. It will still output to 1080p. And when you stream, it'll just dude, we don't have 4K capture cards, so it's going to come out for the stream at 1080p anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be 1080. So what are you saying? I buy a TV, and then buy a PlayStation game on the PlayStation, and then move it downstairs when I need to stream.
Exactly, yeah. It's a hassle, but it's the only way.
What if Megan's watching murder porn? She loves her murder porn, by the way. She watches it all the time. Women all the same. That's for the next episode. We're going to get into murder porn and why women love watching depressing crap on Netflix. I bought mine for the PS5, but it's not 4K though. It's just 144 hertz. Neil, would you rather at this point, looking at the PS5, looking at the new series of cards, would you rather prioritize 144 hertz over 4K?
Ooh, I don't know. No, I'd go because like PS5 it supports 144 hertz. Most games probably won't even hit 60 hertz, like 60 FPS. So I'd always go for screen quality. I'd go for 65-inch OLED, 60 hertz, happily. Something that looks amazing.
I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but that's fine. That's
we kind of keep bringing it back. So.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand. What is it? OLED is the best tech out there because you get QLED, you get OLED, you get nanotech or nanocell.
Yeah, so OLED is so QLED and all that stuff is just LED. It's all the same stuff. Nano LED, QLED, micro LED is slightly different, but there's no TV that has that technology in it yet. But OLED is its own thing, and OLED's big selling point is obviously like perfect blacks, massive contrast ratios, like beautiful picture quality, and you can't an OLED TV will make the best picture right now compared to anything else.
Is that why they're 3 times the price of a
Yeah,
QLED?
exactly. It's kind of like, remember Sony Trinitron TVs back in the day? Like
Yeah.
a Trinitron TV just looked better than a normal TV, and it cost 4 times the price. So that's what an OLED is now. But for gaming, actually, like
that's what I'm
a
asking.
plasma is probably the best because it has a 240. Yeah, all plasma TVs supported 240 hertz refresh rates.
What?
Yeah, but
You
no
can't
one
even buy
cared
plasma.
then. No one cared back in the day. But
Can't even buy
like,
plasma
yeah,
anymore.
so like a normal LED, you get much higher refresh rates. The OLEDs you get now do have 120 hertz refresh rates, but they are stupidly expensive, and they have G-Sync compatibility and everything.
Okay.
But
Welcome,
it's
Game
double the
Room.
price, triple the price of another TV.
Well, that's the thing. Why don't they make an OLED 27-inch gaming monitor? They don't.
No, they don't, because
I know.
you'd like, I would buy one. So like those new
but I don't.
laptops, like I think the HP Spectre you had an OLED screen on it.
Oh, really? Crumple. So the tech's coming to smaller screens slowly but surely.
And your iPhone has an OLED screen on it. So
maybe what? I wait for another couple of months.
it's just
till OLED comes?
it's not the best screen for that screen size. Like it works really well in giant screens and very small screens.
I don't know what to do, dude. Let me ask the chat. Chat, what the hell should I do? Okay, PS5's coming out. Should I buy a 4K OLED TV, like a little one, like a 50-inch or a 48-inch, and just game on that, and then not even stream PS5? Because there's no way I'm going to go. That thing is this big. I'm a strong guy. There's no denying that. We've clarified that through facts and science several times. The PS5 is like this big. I'm not going to carry that crap up and down my stairs every time I want to stream. So what do I do? Let's ask the chat here. I got a 43-inch plasma screen I carried around to LAN events back in the day, Stefan. You are a brave man.
And a strong man.
A strong man, because they were heavy, dude.
Yeah, man.
Heavy.
And gain the heavy things.
Yeah. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm not gonna knee jerk reaction on this because it's a lot of money. So
Thomas Bain threw down 100 stars, by the way.
Thomas Bain, eh? Sorry, let me have a look here. Thank you so much for the handy. I should have been looking for the stars. If we missed any stars, please forgive me. In fact, let me go back and have a look, guys. Hold on. Thank you so much for the stars, Thomas Ben. That's one step closer to my screen. I don't know what screen it's going to be yet, but it's Alienware screens have a massive HZ jump over the other screens. What's the
Hertz
HZ jump?
Hertz.
But are they 4K?
I think you can buy them, but they're expensive.
I think they might be, but you're looking at 25 grand for a computer monitor. Does MSI make it?
Yeah, the only nice thing about a monitor, and the problem is now, like we kind of in that transition phase from 1080p to whatever's next. So I think the next like base standard of monitor will be 4K 144 hertz with HDR. And once we have that, once those become the standard, then buy a monitor, and then you can just buy whatever size suits you. If you want to do the 24-inch gaming, awesome. If you want to do a 32-inch or a 40-inch like work monitor, then you sort it. But the problem is now you can get a 27-inch 144, but it doesn't do 4K, or 27-inch 144 with 4K that doesn't do HDR, or 27-inch 1080p that does HDR but doesn't do 4K, or all of the above, but it doesn't have G-Sync or FreeSync or whatever, and it just becomes ridiculous.
It has to HDMI 2.1, doesn't it, for PlayStation 5?
It doesn't have to, but if you want to do 4K HDR 144 hertz, it has to have 2.1.
So not a lot of monitors are supporting 2.1 at the moment.
No.
Yeah, so you want to wait for that.
No, yeah, like very few things support 2.1.
Yeah. So Gamer says I have a 27-inch Samsung Curve 144 hertz, and it's amazing, pretty simple but effective. That's a good. Do you once you've tasted 144? I've got a 144 hertz curved MSI optics. Dude, once you've tasted 144, it is mind-boggling. I would say I prefer that over 4K any day of the week. You know?
No, you're crazy.
No, dude, I'm blind. I'm not crazy. I'm blind. Yes, so
you like fast-moving blurs rather than very pristine blurs.
Exactly. Get a 24-inch gaming monitor. If BenQ was supported in this country, that's the one I would have gotten, Robert. You know the My Choice Double D. I got a Samsung 55-inch 4K QLED, very good screen. So your PlayStation 5 ready, my man. But in regards to streaming, this is from the game room. You can have all the FPS and power you like, but streaming platforms won't allow you to go higher than 60 FPS and obviously 1080p.
That's actually not true. Not Facebook. YouTube streaming supports 4K streaming now.
What?
Yeah, you can do 4K 60 to YouTube if you want to.
What sort of bit rate can you?
It's a lot.
How do you even do
it's
that?
many bits.
Like 20,000 or something.
Yeah, I think it's it's like 14 megabits a second minimum that you need, which we theoretically could do. But then again, then you need 4K the entire route. So you need 4K HDMI cables, you need a 4K monitor, you need a 4K capture card, and then you need all the systems to run it. And it's four times the compute power or the memory like memory size for a 4K image than for a 1080p image.
Oh yeah, can you imagine the CPU?
Yeah, dude. Like we've tweaked these things for years to get them to run 60 FPS 1080. Then you basically have to multiply everything by 4 to try and get 30 FPS.
I'm still running 30 FPS 1080, dude. I'm too scared to take it to 60. It's just too muddy, bro. Unless you pump the bitrate, but then your CPU takes a dive. It's dude. I don't think we're gonna be 4K streaming in this country for at least another year.
Maybe
at least minimum. I do not know what it feels like to play.
And then no one would be able to watch on Twitch anyway in this country because like no one can stream 4K.
Because the buffers like crazy at the moment on just 1080, even at 720, 60 at buffers. I do not know what it feels like to play with VSync always off. Obviously, because you're at 144. That makes sense because there's no screen tearing at 144. Yeah.
Well, there is if you don't have. There's screen tearing if your refresh rate doesn't match your FPS. There's screen tearing unless you've got FreeSync or G-Sync. That's what they do. They match the refresh rate. So 144 is just the max.
Okay, I see. Odin saying 2 times 144 hertz, not 88. Oh, he's speaking of riddles there.
Oh, yes.
Odin also saying,
Yeah, I don't actually know what he's talking about.
Also saying latency on 4K. I guess latency would creep in with 4K versus 144, hey, Neil?
Yeah, that's the thing. Also, like the higher resolution you go, the more latency. It makes sense, to do 4 megapixels of pixels on and off 60 times a second. Obviously, takes a lot more power and everything to do than 1080p. So it'll all get there eventually. Oh, Odin's got 2 144 hertz monitors. He doesn't have 2 88-inch OLED LG screens.
I was about to say, Odin, you need to be throwing a lot more stars if you got 2 OLEDs, buddy. A lot more than you're throwing, my man. Kisses. So, Neil, the question still stands. And I'm going to pose it to the chat as well. Is it time to invest in a 3000 series GPU? And I open it up to the forum.
I'm not going to give my answer because you know what it is.
I know what it is. You know what my answer is. I think this is the best opportunity you're going to have to get a 2080 Ti or even a 2070, depending on your budget, at a bargain price with RTX. Brilliant card. It's going to rock you for 2 more years, possibly even 2.5 to 3 if you play your cards right. Obviously, like Neil mentioned earlier, you can't even get the 3000 series. If you can, you're paying 40 to 50,000 rand. It's a pretty one-way argument, Neil. It's a pretty obvious decision at the end here. Unless you're balling, like you say, unless you're like one of those guys who's got his Audi R8 in the garage and he's like,
If you got lots of money, it doesn't matter. Then you buy the best.
Don't listen to us,
Dude, on the video, you can't see the guys going through the eBay bids. The guys have a paint picture of an RTX 3080 saying order confirmed with a selling price of like $90,000. Like, that's how messed up it is, man.
That's how much money some people. Here I am, like, I'm trying to get a 4K tech's been out for 7 years. I'm trying to get a 4K monitor. Neil, it's cold. Why am I so cold? I need to eat more food, Neil. Here I am trying to get a 4K monitor. I got 275 hertz Dell 27 screens from Eve Tech for 5,000. Sounded like a bargain then. I think it's Eve Tech. It obviously was a bargain, but when did you buy them? Obviously a couple of years ago. 50 for each 144. How's that? Done deal, Odin. Throw them stars. Let me see if I can. There's 100 stars from Odin. Thank you so much, you biscuit. Thank you so much, dude. So yeah, so guys, that's the best advice you're gonna get. I'm rocking a 27, not even a super, dude. And I am super happy with the performance I've been getting out of gaming. I would say, listen, like if I could get a 2080 Ti, geez, I would definitely get one. Would I be smiling from ear to ear? Yes, I would be. And like I said, for the next 2 years, I would be smiling from ear to ear. And then after 2 years, bro, I would definitely pick up a 3080. You know, maybe a year and a half, I'd probably pick up a 3080.
I would say by March next year, it's going to be fine. Like
it's going to be better.
It'll be about 12,000 Rand to 15,000 Rand for a 3080. And then you can maybe pick it up secondhand for a bit less than that.
So if you've got any money you've been sitting on, buy a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buy a PlayStation. You can't get those either. You can't get those either. So
I wanted to pre-order one, but also once again didn't have money. So they wouldn't accept my bank card that didn't have money. They're like, you need money. I'm like, what? So 4K monitor under the Christmas tree for me. PlayStation 5 early next year, and then 3080 I'm looking to maybe towards the tail end of next year. Yeah. That's my plan, Neil.
I don't think
that's all she wrote.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. Game Room saying just got the RTX 2060. It's cheap and delivers good performance. Well, there you go. A Game Room picking up a 2060 on a bargain because guys are flogging them. You biscuit of a man. I hate consoles too. You shut your dirty pirate hooker mouth. Okay, you get the hell out of here, guy. I love you. Kisses. With that said, ladies and gents,
that went in some roots. That podcast.
Listen, they went hand in hand, and I had some questions. That I wanted to know as well. There we have it, another tasty and delicious episode of the Super2Bit Podcast. That makes episode 16, Daniel.
Episode 16. Go check out the website. We've just updated it, made it look not terrible.
At www.super2bit.com.
.com. We got a real .com website and everything. Go check it out, guys.
You paid 30,000 Rand for the .com.
Yeah, you guys can check out the podcast and all of our streams as well right there on the website. It's pretty cool.
Go check it out. And guys, don't forget, we're going to leave the links for both Apple and Spotify, Apple Music and Spotify in the description. So if you don't, you can pick your poison in terms of where you want to listen to the podcast. But even if you listen to this after the fact, give us a share, give us a follow. And carry on with the support. We're trying to keep the lights on here, aren't we, Neil?
We're trying.
Someone's got to pay for Dave's stress medication because Dave's frizzling out here. Yeah? That stuff's expensive.
It is expensive. Tell me about it.
Odin saying, Dave, sorry, quickly off topic. I sent you a challenge on Facebook Messenger at Super2Bit. I hope you accept. Okay, cool, buddy. Sorry, it's been, dude. We've been, like I just
Today's
said, we've
been
so
day.
Busy, bro. It's been so manic, dude. Like I'm just trying to keep my head above water, to be honest, but I'll take a look. With that said, much love to you guys. Thank you for joining us once again. It's always my therapy when I get to sit down with it.
It is nice. It's a good wind down from a tough day.
It is. After a long day, chatting to the lads with a libation and chatting to yourself, of course, Neil, is always a treat. So thank you for joining me, buddy.
Thank you very much, man. Sorry, I was reading comments. That's why my brain froze.
Yeah, I was about to say it was a delayed reaction. Neil's getting tired. So can we still buy the merch advertised on the website? No, Neil, you have to hide that. You have to hide that tab. Right,
but it's the only tab we've got that's got any content.
Dude, hide the merch tab. I put so much freaking effort into that merch tab. Holy crap, it looks good. And then the supplier screwed us. So just hide it. Brings back bad memories. It gives me PTSD. Hide the merch tab, Neil.
All right, I'll do that. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. You guys rock.
Love you guys. As always, we will be back. Neil, are you streaming tonight?
No stream tonight.
All right. But Chloe's streaming Crash Bandicoot 4, the brand new one tomorrow.
That's going to be fun.
So check it out. And obviously, I'll be back on Friday morning changing your lives for the better. So, stay sexy and lie bait on.
Odin, thank you for another 50 stars. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
And a scholar, hey? And a scholar. Thank you, Odin.
Thank you, everybody.
You guys. We'll see you on the next episode of Super2Bit Podcast. It's your boy.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.